All right, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating insight from Dr. Rajiv Sambasivan on why human judgment is actually the ultimate driver in machine learning. Rajiv brings over 25 years of deep, data-centric experience to the table, and honestly, his perspective completely reframes how we should be looking at data science. We're going to explore the absolutely critical role of the human expert in a tech world that seems, frankly, a little obsessed with total automation.
Let's kick things off with a pretty vital question about a seductive but dangerously incomplete narrative out there right now. There's this incredibly appealing myth circulating among executives. It's the idea that AI assistants are basically magic genies. You just hand them your messy raw data, rub the lamp, and boom, they hand you back a flawless, production-ready model. But as we're going to see, treating your AI like a genie isn't just wishful thinking. It's actively opening your business up to massive compliance risks.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the AI genie myth, move into the ML automation trap, discover the KMDS solution, look at a real-world SBA loan case study, and wrap up with how you can take back control.
Let's dive right into Section 1, the AI Genie myth, and the crucial difference between execution and design. Think about the difference between execution and design, kind of like building a house. You could, theoretically, send in robots to do the construction. They'll execute perfectly, driving nails, doing all the heavy lifting. In machine learning, these robots are our automation tools. They are phenomenal at mechanical execution. They can find data cleaning patterns, write boilerplate code, or tune hyperparameters, basically tweaking the algorithm's dials all day long. But here's the catch. Robots cannot design. They don't know how a real family actually moves around and cooks in a kitchen. That requires a human architect who understands the context and the constraints. AI is excellent at repetitive execution, but it's terrible at deciding what actually needs to be built in the first place.
Because you see, those big architectural decisions, they require deep domain expertise. For example, should your business problem be solved using clustering, grouping similar things together, or classification, putting things into strict, predefined categories? That's not just some technical quirk. It's a judgment call tied directly to your business. Which features actually matter in your specific market? An algorithm literally cannot decide that in a vacuum. Or think about this. How do you handle missing data in a way that is legally defensible to an industry regulator? That takes a human applying real-world judgment.
Which brings us to Section 2, the ML automation trap and the hidden cost of fast failure. So if you try to automate the wrong parts, specifically those nuanced judgment calls we just talked about, you fall into what Rajiv calls automation theater. And this is a highly dangerous state. You've essentially built a model that looks absolutely perfect in your safe, isolated test environment. It passes validation with flying colors, so you confidently push it to production. But then reality hits. Within a few weeks, a seasonal pattern changes or customer behavior drifts just a little bit. Because you automated the judgment, your model lacks the architectural context to adapt. Suddenly, your previously perfect model is spitting out totally wrong answers, and it's doing it at massive scale. And picture this when a regulator or maybe your CEO inevitably asks why the model made a completely disastrous recommendation. This terrifying phrase becomes your only defense. Well, the algorithm decided. Wow, that is not an answer. That is a massive compliance risk. You are essentially betting your company's reputation simply because no human was in the driver's seat for the decisions that actually mattered.
Fortunately, there's a better way. Section 3. The KMDS solution and the power of documented knowledge.
To safely manage these complex methodologies at scale, Rajiv developed something called the Knowledge Management for Data Science Framework, or KMDS. It's a total game changer because it ensures models aren't just accurate in some theoretical vacuum, but are fully explainable, auditable, and actually driven by documented knowledge. It encodes that human as architect approach directly into your everyday workflow. The whole point of this workflow is keeping the AI as your highly capable assistant while the human expert remains the ultimate documented decider. It's a three-step dance. In step 1, the AI advisor surfaces research-backed options for data cleaning and modeling. It flags problems and suggests best practices. But then, step 2 is where the magic happens. The human expert evaluates those AI suggestions against real-world business context. Finally, in step 3, the human makes the judgment call, and critically, that exact reasoning is thoroughly documented before anything gets deployed. The AI surfaces the options, right? But the expert decides what to use. Let's look at what this actually looks like in practice. Section 4, a real-world case study on predicting SBA loan defaults. When you're predicting loan defaults, the stakes are incredibly high, and regulators absolutely demand clear answers. A black box AI just won't cut it. Take geographic addresses, for instance. An automated tool might just look at an address as a basic string of text, but the human data scientist, acting as the architect, deliberately chose to extract targeted geographic features. They mapped exact latitude and longitude, and they measured proximity to economic centers. They gave the data real spatial meaning.
But they didn't stop there. The team used their expert judgment to design a distance feature, something an algorithm would probably never just invent on its own. They grouped loans into good, paid-in-full clusters, and distressed clusters. Then they mathematically measured the distance from any new loan to those clusters. It's brilliant, really, because it essentially asks the math, how similar is this new loan to businesses that have historically failed versus those that succeeded? That is a highly defensible, business-interpretable feature that regulators absolutely love.
And here is where the true superpower of KMDS kicks in. Because every single step of designing that feature was deliberately documented within the system. If a regulator comes knocking 6 months later to ask why, the answer is sitting right there, securely stored in a searchable knowledge graph. The reasoning hasn't just evaporated because your lead data scientist took a new job somewhere else. The institutional memory is completely 100% preserved.
Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, taking back control and empowering your expertise. When we compare these two approaches side by side, it's pretty night and day why KMDS gives you actual control over your business outcomes. Going all in on black box AI leads to evaporating knowledge, and it automates the exact judgment calls that desperately require human nuance. The KMDS practice, on the other hand, documents your knowledge. It uses AI properly, as a super smart advisor, and it results in fully auditable human decisions. You get to scale your capabilities without sacrificing the judgment that makes the whole system actually work. So I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to chew on as you evaluate your own data science teams. If your model fails tomorrow, who actually answers for it? Is it an accountable human expert who can confidently explain their documented architectural decisions? Or are you just going to point at an algorithm? The goal here isn't to hope an AI genie gets it right. It's to empower human architects with the tools they need to build something robust, defensible, and real. Thanks for joining me on this one.